Alright, it's your Gashet Bass. Back again with another video with some real good information. And I sit back and I come to the conclusion that I can't just talk about these two books. Even though I could, and I want to say some foul things about these books, but I got my own rule of never going against another brother. But the thing is, this stuff here is tantamount to stealing. You basically taking people money. I'm going to mention these books. I'm going to talk about these books. Believe me, I'm going to talk about these books. But I don't want any of the Moors to feel left out, because I'm talking about all of the Moors. I'm talking about all of them. No exceptions. Temple Moors, non-Temple Moors, Washita Moors, all of the Moors, man. No exceptions. And just a word of advice, man. This bullet is for you, but just bite the bullet and just hold his L. And this shoe fits. But don't put the shoe on, if you catch my drift. Don't put the shoe on, but this shoe fits you. So let's get started, man. All right, what we're going to do today is what you would call a Yugoslav attack if you was playing chess. Basically, it's an opening. It's not an attack per se. It's an opening. Meaning I know all of the Moors' moves. And all they can do is just take this L, like I said earlier. Because I've been doing my research. I actually wrote this paper over a year ago, man. And I need to update it big time. So I was sitting back, right? Trying to do some more research to combat the myths of the American Moors. And I came to the reality is that these people are all over the place with their myths. You just can't pick one Moor and focus on him to combat his information, because he's all over the place. He'll be saying stuff about the land of Mu one second, then he'll be talking about Wichita another second. And if you go to another Moor, he'll be talking about some damn Moors 40,000 years ago, and then he'll be talking about some more Moors another 20,000 years ago. And then he'll turn around and talk about the Moors in Spain and the Moors in Europe. And then you go to another Moor, he'll be talking about the Olmecs, or the descendants of Moors. And we are the descendants of the Olmecs in America, which were in America way before anybody else. And we went back to Africa. And then he'll turn around and say Mansa Musa and Abukari II, stuff like this. And I came up the best way to actually combat this kind of foolishness. And that way to combat it is I have to be all over the place too. So forgive me if this video is all over the place, because I have no choice in order to respond in a proper manner. I have to be all over the place. And also, I told you we're going to have to go to elementary school. Don't take it as a sign of disrespect. It's just the sad state of affairs that we are in. People don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're not quoting actually legitimate scholarly material. They're just quoting myths and made up stuff they just pulled out their ass, basically. So forgive me for having to dumb down the conversation in order to elevate the conversation, if you catch what I mean. I'm going to have to dumb it down and simplify it in order for everybody to understand it and get on the same mind frame. So first let's debunk all the bullshit, all the claims. Let's debunk all that. See, like I told you, I got my notes. So let's get started, man. I'm behind the camera reading, so just listen to me right now. All right, they'll say a dark-skinned or brown-skinned African who considers themselves part of the African nations equals a Moor. This bullshit. I'm going to show you where Moor comes from. I'm going to show you who uses the word Moor, and I'm going to actually show you a Moor. Another claim they say is any dark-skinned person, and more is just a description. Okay, we gonna knock that out when I show you what the hell a Moor is. They'll say the Maori were here for thousands of years. Let's say they came before Columbus, the Prince of Mali, Mandingo traders in Mexico. They use Ivan Van Sertima book. If you go through my video playlist, we've already retired that book. And to be honest, I was actually being very, very nice with Van Sertima. I was being very nice, man. I could have said a whole bunch of more stuff about that book, but I was being nice. But that's neither here nor there, so let's keep moving. There was an African-Egyptian presence in America. And they'll throw in cocaine mummies. Okay, the cocaine in the mummies hasn't actually been explained. And to as far as my knowledge, it was more of tobacco, but there may be claims of cocaine in mummies. They'll quote Emily Bartell, the term Moor was used interchangeably with such ambiguous terms as African, Ethiopian, Negro, and even Indian. Okay, this partially true. To designate individuals from part or the whole of Africa or beyond. Okay, that's true, and I'll show you why that's true. I'll show you why. All right, there I also use Michael Neal's definition of the term Moor. It can refer specifically to Berber, Arab people of North Africa, or it can be used to embrace the people of the whole North African lateral, or it might mean, not lateral, but littoral, or it might be extended to include Africans generally, whether white, black, or tawny Moors, or by a even more promiscuous use be applied like the term Indian be applied to almost any dark-skinned people in the New World. If you notice something, they're all using European definitions. If you also notice, they're making a mistake of an amateur historian or a person that's doing any kind of study. You can't use common definitions or contemporary definitions and place them on people in the past. You can't do that. What you have to do is go to that time period and see what the people are calling themselves or what people around them are calling those people. You can't go to the dictionary of today and use a modern dictionary for things in the past. The world doesn't work that way, I'm sorry. But let's keep moving. They'll throw in crazy stuff like, who was the original Greeks? They'll say original Greeks were Moors. They'll throw up some internet pictures. Okay, that's cute and funny, yeah. Then they'll say Moor means more, M-U-U-R, which means one of light. Ancient term from the Wichita. Then another guy turn around and say, Moors mean seafaring people, one who moors. So I guess they disregarding all those previous definitions that they were using. Then they'll say, we were here in America, yada yada. Say the descendants of Olmecs have the same bloodline as the Dogon. I'm sure Dave ran the test personally to see those. The world would like to see those test results. But moving on. You are indigenous to the Americas for thousands of years. Okay, sure. The term Moor is older here in North America than it is in North Africa. Okay, if you will provide any actual proof of that, not one of those crazy books that you're quoting like Othello's Children or some shit. And they'll say the Empress, I'm not going to say nothing bad about the Empress because she's not here to protect herself. From the Empress book, or We Are the Wichita by Shabazz Bey, Return of the Ancient Ones. Okay, I doubt this scholarly. Okay, they'll say we the Moors had civilization thousands of years before the European even had a language. Okay, it's just funny. They'll say Almerican, a form of Algonquin, which was derived from the Phoenician script. They referred to themselves as Moors. Prior to the European coming in contact with these people, they referred to themselves as Moors. My response to that would be, how do you know that? And where did you get that information from? And can we see that information? Then they'll show a meme of Anthony Johnson and his myth. They'll do this, hold on, let me show you Anthony Johnson. They'll show you this myth meme. The first slave owner in America was not only a black man, he went to court and demanded it. In 1654, it was time for Anthony to release John Kaiser, a black indentured servant. I'm not finna read all that, man. Hold on. Anthony Johnson sued Robert Parker in the Northampton court in 1654. In 1655, the court ruled that Anthony Johnson could hold John Kaiser indefinitely. Thus, Kaiser became the first permanent slave and Johnson the first slave owner. This is not a photo of Anthony Johnson. And this whole thing is a myth. Well, the Anthony Johnson story is true. That's true. But if you go 15 years prior to Anthony Johnson to Hugh Gwynn, you will see that he was the first legal slave owner in the British colonies. Because if you're not ignoring actual history, you will know the Portuguese, Dutch, and French, all of them had slaves in North America way before the British. The British are the last to actually bring in slaves. And now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can also just go back another year or a year earlier than that, 1641, with John Corinth, or you could go to 1639, slave laws of New York. This whole thing is a myth. Anthony Johnson did own slaves, but he was the first slave owner in North America is bullshit. But let's get back to it. De La Moore. That one was quite funny. Delaware Moors. Okay. Peter deal with Ptah and Peter Rock. Okay, sure. Peter and Ptah. Yeah. That's okay. Moving forward. Cherokee Indian. You know the whole story, man. Every black person in America got Cherokee Indian in them. It's real cute, man. But let's stop with the games and the BS and the foolishness. And let's get to some real information. I gotta say this before we move on, man. This is ridiculous, man. The internet is corrupting people's minds, man. This stuff is wild. How you gonna go from the 1500s all the way to 1655 talking about the damn first slave owner? That's ridiculous, man. You're just gonna ignore that huge ass gap. All right, man.